Wow.
I like
I got
that. I like that.
I got
And
to
look, you all,
Laughing Eagle.
Sherry, his wife, her name is Sherry. She's going to be on our Woman to Woman show tomorrow. So
Excellent.
tune in and listen to her talk about laughter. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm just excited to know she's going to come on. So, yes,
Now, what
that
I would
is
like
going to
to
be exciting.
Commissioner, I would like to invite Commissioner. I did remember. I remember you coming to Garfield Park, but Wanda and I are advisory council members at Garfield Park, and we have 184 acres of land, which
Mm.
includes the natural resource and the lagoons, and that would be a great
Awesome.
atmosphere to bring you out and to have you have this conversation, because as candid as this is, I think that our residents could, really get this kind of
Yeah.
conversation. And
Yes.
Yes.
so that's
I mean,
something
I
that,
learned so much in just this little time. I
Right.
had no idea that it was two different departments. I'm telling you, I thought it was just all one big department.
yeah.
I had no idea. They treat the
Interesting.
waste, and the Department of Water treats the drinking water. That is
So
cuckoo.
yeah.
They need, like you said, Levette, they need to communicate.
right, because if we're talking about um drugs that you can't take out of the water, then are you
Wastewater.
waste,
Yeah,
okay, out
wastewater.
of
Yeah.
the wastewater, okay, out
Right.
of the so what
Well,
cause and effect happens because you can't take the drugs out of wastewater?
reaction.
What
What is
happens?
the
Let me
end
explain this.
result?
They did some research on that, and even when spring is here, and people are going to buy what weed killer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Weed killer. So they'll go out and buy weed killer, but some of the ingredients in the weed killer will make you sick and your kids sick because it's called weed killer.
Ah.
Wow.
So I would suggest that instead of buying weed killer, you got to pull it out by hand, or just use some
Question.
organic type of solution
Uh,
to take care of the weeds,
Like
but not
what?
buy weed killer. Weed
okay,
Right.
killer.
so how are you getting that message across? And I just want to make a recommendation, because sometimes you can't do it all by yourself. And
No,
we
no.
are and we are a media, and we
Yeah.
have we have this platform. So you're talking about a $1.5 billion budget. And
One
that
one
should,
point two, 1.2 billion.
I'm sorry, 1.2. I'll make that adjustment. And
What can
so
we? What
and
can we
so
use?
right. And so as we are talking, and I don't know, I must have misread something about you retiring. I thought you were not going to run again.
Well, you know what? Do you know why I'm going to run? It's because we cannot afford to have our kids out of school for 2 years. We cannot afford our
Right.
adults to not have a job. We cannot afford to have our restaurants going broke. We cannot afford another virus. So I want to come back and, as I mentioned, to set up a policy to detect the next virus.
Well,
There you go.
let us help you, Commissioner. You
That's
know,
why I'm coming back because
That's
our
why he's coming
society
back.
cannot afford that.
okay,
Yeah.
well, we understand your concept, and we can, as a matter of fact, our organization, Garfield Park Advisory Council, was instrumental in the Bank of America 13.1 run.
Yes, I
We
saw that.
yeah,
Excellent. It was
we
good.
hosted. Yeah, we were the host, and so and they needed the community to get the word out, and that's what we did. And
Yes.
so our media was there to capture the runners and how they experienced their run. So we're small media, but we get a lot done. So you need to really talk to Wanda about how we can help in getting that message when you are able to produce that policy.
Sure. Okay, and then
Absolutely.
as I mentioned, I have to leave at 6:30, but I don't know what time is it now. But
Uh,
10:30.
Is it-
you know, the Water Reclamation District, they have 7 wastewater plants designed and built by civil engineers. I'm a civil engineer.
there you go. There you
They
go.
have the reservoirs, 2 reservoirs designed and built by civil engineers. I'm a civil engineer. They have the deep tunnel designed and built by civil engineers. I'm a civil engineer. So I feel like I'm well qualified. And I would like people to come out and vote for Frank Avila. My punch number is 84. And please give me a vote. I don't want them to vote for me because I'm good looking or good dancing.
Love
I
it.
want them to vote for me because I'm qualified.
There you go. Come on,
And-
Commissioner, tell them you qualified. Mr. Johnny Harris has one question for you before you go.
Yes.
And then Miss Yo, I know you got a question, but he said he
Just
has to
one
go.
more.
And Johnny's had his hand up for a little bit. Johnny, go ahead and ask the commissioner what you want to say.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Thank you, Commissioner. You mentioned something to the fact that your wife could talk about laughter and they could talk about people that are vegans, the food, where it comes from, how it's made, and you know, all those kinds of things. Is that something we can do a Zoom on?
Well, yeah, Wanda, I think Wanda is going to do a Zoom with my wife on
Tomorrow.
laughter. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
gonna be on tomorrow. So come back, Johnny, so you can ask Miss Sherry what's going on.
Right. And then mine was you said that for the next time you do the testing, we can at least detect the next virus. Are you
Right.
working with any of the cohort or any of the doctors to work with you to reach that? You know, you're testing the next virus. Are you working with any doctor because they have an inkling between all the different ones that are mutating?
Right.
Are
Yeah.
you-
Well, yeah. You ever hear of Argonne National Laboratory? They're taking some of the samples. They're well known throughout the world. Working with a
ARGON.
lot of the universities that are taking the samples to see if they detect this virus. We're one of the very few agencies that are going to be left to detect the next virus.
Right. All right. Well,
Excellent. Well, we
Commissioner,
wanna-
thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to have you back, of course, and I'm going to let you go with putting something up regarding your infomercial.
My name is Frank Avila, and I am running for commissioner of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. I am a civil engineer with a master's in finance who cares deeply about the water, soil, and air environment in Cook County. The mission of the district is to protect the health and the safety of the public of Cook County, to protect our water supply, Lake Michigan, and our local waterways, and to protect businesses and homes from flooding. Water is precious. Our body is 60% water. We all need water to live. To accomplish the district mission, the district has 7 wastewater plants to treat human waste, pee and poop in Cook County. One is the largest in the world, designed and built by civil engineers. I'm a civil engineer. The district has 2 of the largest reservoirs in the world, designed and built by civil engineers. I'm a civil engineer. The district has 109 miles of tunnel, as much as 350 feet below the surface, designed and built by civil engineers. I am a civil engineer. The district has 560 miles of intercepting sewers and force main designed and built by civil engineers. I am a civil engineer. In order to protect our lake and waterways, I will ensure cost-effective wastewater treatment and promote green and gray infrastructure projects to protect homes and businesses from flooding. I will encourage the district to pursue strong green initiative and to engage with the community. I am committed to working with public agencies and community groups to enact strategy to reverse the impact of climate change and support a healthy Cook County. Vote Frank Avila.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about what we can do to support this gentleman, because we know water is very important, whether it comes in the house or out the house. It's one of the most important things that we can do. Drink
Yeah.
water.
Okay, thank you, Wanda. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Great one.
Thank you.
All right. So now, and continuing our conversation, ladies and gentlemen, about the Water Reclamation Department. Did anybody know that that was two different departments before tonight? Did you know that?
No, but I am really concerned about these, about the pipes.
Yes.
The point that I did make. They can start testing for that now because it's scary.
We need to get somebody from the drinking water part of the water department to come on.
All right, there you go.
So let's invite somebody from the drinking water department to come on and tell us, answer these questions you guys got about the pipes and the medicine that they can't treat. And, you know, so, I mean, how many years have people been disposing of their medication down the toilet?
Isn't that something? Well, what do they want them to do?
What happens with the water with the medication when it goes through the toilet? I mean, so they can't treat it. So what? We drinking it? I mean,
can't treat it.
What's going on?
We drinking it. They can't treat it.
Dang! So we drinking other people's medication that they discard.
And I knew that from my mama over 60 years ago. You don't do that down south.
Wow.
Okay. What did you know?
Not to put medicine in the toilet.
You knew
well,
that.
You know what I can say when my mom always said that she was taking like 15 pills in the morning and 15 pills, but you got somebody that doesn't walk from here to there. When she passed, everything let's go, right?
Yeah.
Been stopped up, must have been forever from none of these pills. They never broke down, never did this. So you say
saw them in a waste?
It was full of pills. Now, where does all that go when I didn't know what was stopping them up? But when you let that go and I didn't know pills was in it, like I saw at the end.
Wow.
Well, my Lord, how long has that been? That she left here in 2014. So this has been happening a long time. And look here, what is this that goes all the way down the Mississippi? Is that the fertilizer?
It's the waste it's the return waste. It's the treated waste that they release from their plants.
Right.
It's what travels down the riverways to wherever it goes.
And all then what is it? Is it picked up in down the Mississippi? I'm not understanding. Is that
it dumps into the Mississippi? It dumps into
what dumps into the Mississippi, Wanda?
The treated wastewater.
1 and 2.
They said it's treated. It's treated for farming.
I think
yes.
I think that's sold to the farmers or given to the farmers.
Yeah, he said they give it away free.
Right. No, they give it. They give it to the public, and they sell it to the farmers, and they sell it back to us in the stores.
Huh? Wait a minute.
That's not the real issue. The real issue is treating it. That's why we should focus treating it.
Okay.
But what did you mean about they sell it to us back in the stores?
When you go to Home Depot, that's what he said. You didn't catch that?
Yeah.
No, what did he say?
He said that.
He said you can get that manure free, but you go to Home Depot, you have to pay for it.
That's right. That's what he said.
No, I didn't. And that's my own.
I thought he was saying that you'd have to pay for the cow manure and that's what they had, because I don't think that I don't know if they're selling human waste in the stores. And to me, I would like to know when the hell
he said he put it in the ground, the plants.
Yeah.
Right. And so
we eat the plants.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Somebody said, I guess we are what we eat.
That I said
that's wrong. And what about these? I was gonna ask we got these composting toilets. I see that in a tiny house. So what does that mean? A composting toilet. So that means every day I got to I don't know. And it's already composted, and I go and dump it in what? In the ground, and we can start our garden with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them do exactly that. They keep their waste. They keep their waste for the plants. And to me, that's better because you know your body. And so, what
You
is
know
that?
what? I met with my Jewish attorney last week, and he said, and I didn't catch it. He said that's what him, his family, his son do right now.
Oh, all right.
Right. Well, I've been following. They save their waste. Right. And right now, I wouldn't mind doing that because if you're in the tiny house movement, that's been going on for a few years.
Right.
And that is a downsized way of living, and everything becomes organic. Even how you release your waste and your number one and your number two back into the environment.
Each level about 90 to 100 feet. And each of those levels, you can see a bench remaining on the tollway wall over there. So when they mined this, they first started with the first 90 feet or so, and they left a bench on the tollway for stability purposes, but on the other walls, they mined straight down with vertical wall face.
What's groundwater?
The groundwater surface surrounding here is higher than the quarry, but here at the quarry, because it's acted as a sink over the last 50 years, the groundwater is very low, and it's probably about minus 350 or about 50 feet below the floor, I should say.
Is that collection there from rainwater?
Yeah, the puddles that you see in here are both rainwater and water coming through the walls. Still groundwater coming through the walls. The grout curtain has been completed on the west side, on the north side to your left, and on the east side ahead of us. It has not been completed on the tollway dam yet. All the way up, you can see one of the drills drilling a hole over by the tollway. The drill holes are inclined at about a 15-degree angle so that they can try and intercept more rock features. So they drill these all in a 15-degree angle all the way around. And then there's actually another row drilled 15 degrees the opposite direction, so it creates sort of a lattice. And the idea is just to try and intersect as many of the cracks in the rock as possible to get the grout into them.
15 degrees in parallel?
Yeah, up ahead of us we see the entrance to the deep tunnel. And this Thornton Reservoir, we have 3 contracts going on right now that will turn the hole into a reservoir. The first one is that grout curtain that I talked about, that FH Passion is doing. And as part of that contract, they also built that RCC dam, and they'll be filling up those 2 haul tunnels once the mining is complete. So the second 2 tunnels.
I'm sorry, what does RCC mean?
Roller compacted concrete. Sorry,
You said it once.
it's an interesting kind of concrete that you don't see around here anymore. They actually dump the concrete right onto the ground, and it's sort of like a jello. It's not a liquid, it's more of a solid, and they start rolling it with pavers right away, and they just smush it down. There's no reinforcement in it. It's almost like dirt, but it's concrete. They just dump it and they start consolidating it. So the other 2 contracts are under Walsh Construction's control, and they are 2 new tunnels. This tunnel that we see here will ultimately connect to the existing deep tunnel, which terminates right outside the quarry here at about 167th and State. So this tunnel will attach to that tunnel. The tunnel is completely excavated except for about a 50-foot block of rock that was left in place, and that will be the last thing blasted out, because once you blast that out, this is live and water can come in. This tunnel is 30 feet in diameter. Around it, you can see shotcrete on the rock surface. That just provides a little protection for the workers going in and out, because these walls You're not allowed to get up close to them. The rock does fall down. You can see a lot of loose rock around the perimeter. So above the shotcrete, you may be able to see it, but as we get closer, you'll see rock bolts. So they drill holes into the wall and stick 10-foot long reinforcing bolts in there and grout them in, and that also helps to keep the rock in place. And then there's chain link mesh, which you'll see on highways as well when you go through the mountains. It just tries to keep any rock that does fall close to the wall and not fall out onto somebody. So today they have a concrete pour of the tunnel. They pour, that's what all these trucks are here for. They pour about 30-foot length of the tunnel in one day. So they'll pour concrete for a 30-foot diameter and about a 30-foot length as well. And the concrete is 1 foot thick walls that they're pouring.
Yeah, you need a lot of safety equipment. About an hour.
Okay, here's the entrance to the tunnel. You can see they placed some of the rebar or reinforcing steel in there. And the concrete that they're pouring is back about, it's about 950 feet back. They're starting at the other end with the concrete and they're working their way out to this end. So this is really just the second section that they're pouring today. They poured the first section about a week ago.
So it's all done.
So it's all blasted and they're just pouring. Now, what I didn't mention is about 900 feet in is a giant shaft that's 90 feet in diameter that goes from the surface down to the tunnel. And in that shaft there will be 4 gates. Those gates will be used to control flow into and out of the reservoir. So most of the time they'll be left wide open, but for those 100-year storms that do fill this all the way to capacity, we'll close the gate when the water reaches up to elevation -5. And then after the storm, we'll probably close the gates and then pump out the tunnel first, and then open the gates periodically to allow the reservoir water back into the tunnel to be pumped out. So there's no pumps here. All the water flows back to the Calumet plant, which you'll see later. It all flows by gravity back there where the deep tunnel pumping station lifts it up to be processed.
Well, we release around 10 billion gallons, but also don't forget that we discharge that storm water into our Chicago Standard Ship Canal and the Calfag Channel, as I mentioned. And before that rain, it rained on the third. It started on a Thursday. Wednesday we opened up the locks at Lockport to lower the level of the water in the channel, anticipating all that rain coming. And so by that, and I mentioned that the deep tunnel was filled about 39% also at that time, but it got filled up in a couple hours Thursday morning. But we were discharging all that water into this plain. So we'll have the 17, once all these reservoirs are built. McCook, the first stage of McCook will be completed in 2017. It'll hold another 3 billion gallons. But as I mentioned, we're in charge of stormwater management, so they come to us. The municipalities are in charge of their local sewers, and the people get damaged from their basement, they're flooding in their homes. But who's the fourth component of the rain? Huh? The guy upstairs, nature. That's the fourth component.
Is the WRD pursuing an ordinance for stormwater where villages would have to limit development?
Yes, we're in the process now of reviewing a stormwater ordinance that we're gonna have give it to the 124 communities. They're going to look at it, and then we're probably going to vote on it in the board this year. And then once we have the stormwater ordinance, and that's phase 1. We're going to phase 1 was our watershed designs, and that was phase 1. That's completed. Our stormwater ordinance is going to be voted on, and then we're going to go into phase 2, where we're in charge of stormwater management. with the 124 communities except Chicago. They're in charge of their own stormwater management, but we work very closely with them. And in phase 2, we're going to work with all the communities, and we have about $75 million, and we're going to select and hire consultants to work with the communities to see what we could solve, how to solve their problem. And you know, don't forget, we took over stormwater management in 2004. For the last 100 years, no one even thought of what's going to happen with the community downstream. Everyone was concerned about their own community, and don't worry about the one downstream. Now, since we took it over, we're concerned about the whole area on a regional basis, and that's don't forget, we cannot manage that flooding. We could control it. I mean, we cannot stop all that rain coming down and have all the homes being flooded, all the streets being flooded, but we could probably help manage it.
Hey, Frank, you said earlier that the deep tunnel addresses.
When it rains, when we get this big rain,
The rock came all the way to the surface.
the soil cannot absorb all of that rain like it used to. Because look at what we have here in the Chicagoland area. Here the rock is almost to the surface, right?
Yeah.
So when you go wherever you live here in the Chicagoland area, if you go down a foot, 2 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, you may hit rock. Because this is the soil, the type of soil we have here, the type of stratum here what we have here in the Chicagoland area. And don't forget, Chicago was built on a marsh. And that's where they built Chicago, on a marsh. And also in the Chicagoland area, we built homes, we built dry concrete driveways, paved parking lots, paved streets. So all that water goes into a controlled system. And that's why we have this type of flooding. So probably in the zoning, maybe we should, one way to solve the problem is maybe we should knock down a home, leave open space, and then another home. And I just heard on the radio where the government is going to buy, and they're going to spend $300 million to buy homes in New Jersey on what happened there in New Jersey.
But that's right. Instead of rebuilding where you know it's not sustainable. I mean, it's crazy to have homes along there.
As we're pulling out, I'll just tell you a little bit about the mining process. So right now it looks like they've drilled out some holes on the edge of that there, and you see sort of ant hills. That's the dust that comes out after they drill it. They'll put the explosives in there, and at about 1:30 today they're going to evacuate the quarry. Everybody has to leave, including the contractors. And then they detonate it, and that whole ledge will fall off. And that's about 1 day's worth of rock during the construction season that they sell. So they'll then truck it through the haul tunnel to their plant, where it's dumped in a crusher and it's processed and cleaned.
How much of that rock face will they take off? Like 5 feet or 10? Or?
Yeah, the rock face itself is about, it's hard to tell from here, but it's about 80 feet wide. And they'll take off about a 40-foot length of that.